before our congregation. So please, bear with me past the nerves. I chose not to write anything down because I didn't want Marla to get in the way. Not that she couldn't have gotten in the way to begin with, but I so desperately wanted the Lord to prove himself and speak through me. I'm a talker, not in settings like this, but I'm more of a talker, and in order for me to hold my thoughts without getting lost and getting too much in the way of what the Lord would have me to say, I took the liberty of making a notation for myself. Bible also tells me things should let all things be done decent and in order. So in an attempt to do that, help me please be brief. Beginning maybe 6 years ago, anyone, especially friends, can attest that it's impossible to know me and not know my story. About 10 years ago, at the age of 25, yes, I'm giving away my age, I began major struggles with depression to the level that it became suicidal. No rough life history, raised in a single family home. Both my parents were very much in my life. They were just divorced. Never went without. So it was really, my father being a devout Christian minister, I had no reasons to be depressed, but for some reason, I would wake up every day angry, go to bed at night crying myself to sleep out of exhaustion. Depression, I've learned, is more than just a word. It is more of an out-of-body experience. No matter what I do, or how I acted, or where I went,
It's all right.
I couldn't outwit or outrun how I felt. And I was raised in a large traditional apostolic atmosphere, with my father being a minister, with me basically having everything I literally thought I wanted. I was ashamed to even admit that I was depressed. I didn't know I was sick. So I worked 60 and 70-hour weeks all the time because I couldn't control anything else. I could control what I did at work. Work is work no matter what. It's either you do it right, you do it wrong. You come to work, you don't come, you get fired. That was pretty much the only thing I felt like I had any control over when the rest of my life was literally falling apart. And so I've worked 60, 70-hour weeks literally to try to escape from the depression, to exhaust myself so by the time I get home, I could just go to sleep. One day, as I was at work, I work for an insurance company, and I sit down a lot. So my feet began to pain me, literally, like they were on fire. And in the midst of that, it literally felt as though when I get up and walk, somebody filled my shoes with gravel and set them on fire while my feet were still in them. And it had to be the most excruciating pain I've ever felt. I called my mom. I said, "Mom, call the doctor. I don't feel good." Really wasn't scared. I was just hurting. I went to the doctor. He said, "Well, Miss Coble, I know you love Nikes and everything, and they're very cute, but considering what you do for a living, the circulation is very poor. Your feet are completely flat. Get yourself some orthotics, some New Balance, and you're good to go." I walked around like this for maybe, in the midst of depression, in the midst of my feet literally killing me. I walked around like this for maybe a month and a half. At night, I would go to the bathroom, literally crawling on my hands and feet. My hands and knees, because my feet hurt so bad. They were excruciating, to the point it was just depressing me more because I was uncomfortable. It was a year later, I've forgotten about it. All of a sudden my face goes numb on one side. Wasn't really concerned until there was an issue where my left eye felt like there was pressure behind it and it was about to protrude. You couldn't physically see it, but I felt some kind of way. So I went and had a test done, the whole 9 yards. The emergency room doctors could not see it. They couldn't see anything wrong. So they gave me a referral for a specialist, which hard-headed, still wasn't scared. Never went for 3 weeks, only because I was trying to see if the numbness would go away. It didn't. I went to a specialist who ran an MRI, and when I came back for the results, gave me the shock of my life. He said, Miss Coble, you have multiple sclerosis. At the time, I did not know what that was, in case you don't. It's a disease of the central nervous system that eats away at your brain and spinal cord, and it can literally, in the process, paralyze you. And at the age of 29, I was devastated. And so having gone through the anger, the fear, the disparity, feeling punished, I remember myself, I said, Lord, help me. This is the first problem I've ever encountered in my life that my daddy cannot fix. Amen. I am desperate, Lord. I remember saying, Lord, please don't let me die while I live. I was so afraid of not only dying at 29, but letting my family and friends that love me watch me die. Even if I don't physically die, where my heart stops beating, my body is going to die. And he said, Marla, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power has been made perfect in your weakness. I had you before you knew I had you. When you were down on your hands and knees going to the bathroom, you weren't even praying, and I had you. And with that being said, you know, it was like an apple falling from the tree, smack dab on my head. I said, Lord, I gotta fight back. I promise, if you help me save my own life, I will let everybody know what you have done for me. And if you do nothing else after this, you've done enough. And in the midst of this journey, I won't be before you long. In the midst of this journey, I had attended support groups and things that people who have already been diagnosed with MS that may have had 2 areas on their brain that just happen to be where it affects their motor skills and they cannot walk. The neurologist told me I have roughly 19. And having 19 scattered throughout my brain, mind you, keep in mind, scattered throughout my brain, I'm here to tell you today, not one of these affected areas have managed to successfully hit the areas of my brain that will cause me not to see, not to walk, not to talk, not to think, and not to take care of myself. Not to take care of myself. So in the midst of this, I was blessed to start fighting back, and that's when I joined Lifetime Fitness out here in Romeoville, where I met Miss Chastity Williams and her family. She invited me here maybe a year and a half ago, and in the midst of that, she invited me here for a special message from the pastor, which really touched my heart. And as funny as it may seem, I kept being led to come back another Sunday and another Sunday and another Sunday, to the point he dubbed us Batman and Robin. When Batman's not here and Robin is, where's Batman? You know, so I became part of the family rather quickly, and I do appreciate each and every one of you that have welcomed me with open arms, as I feel like most of you already knew me from Facebook pictures and everything else, for those that have been connected with Chastity Williams. But standing before you today, 19 lesions later, 60 pounds lighter, that I didn't even know I had to lose. I may feel like half the woman, but definitely 10 times the concentration in faith. And my desire for this church and this ministry is coming out of my comfort zone. Like I said, I was raised in an apostolic church, a large apostolic traditional church, so it allowed me to basically hide in the wings and not be called upon to do something of this nature. But I do so humbly ask that you continue to pray for me, and I do again thank you, Pastor, for allowing me to share this testimony with you all this morning. And as I humbly ask you to pray for me, I will continue to pray for you. In Jesus' name, thank you.